itself. And now we'll get into the topic, that is the daily news analysis. And the news, what we will be focusing is that 3 agro reform bills have been introduced. So we'll be looking at the 3 agro reforms bill. So the three bills have been introduced in the parliament, and once they have been introduced in the parliament, they have been replaced by the previous ordinances which were issued by the government during the lockdown period. So the ordinances which were issued by the government during the lockdown period were replaced by introduction of the bills, and these bills are in regards to food and agricultural reforms. And these were the ordinances which were passed during the lockdown, and definitely these bills are in pertaining to Essential Commodities Act, that is amendments to the, so definitely the amendments have been done to the Essential Commodities Act, and in regards to the State Agriculture Produce Marketing Committee Acts and the contract farming. So it is in regards to 3 bills have been introduced. First is Essential Commodities Act, and then in regards to the Agriculture Produce Marketing Committee Act, and then the contract farming is the third one which the government has passed the bills. And this proposed legislation, this will definitely, as I repeated, that it will replace the ordinance which was being issued by the government during the lockdown, and this will bring changes. The bill which has been introduced in regards to the food and agricultural reforms will bring changes to the marketing and storage. So it will be pertaining to the marketing and storage of what? Of farm produce and agri commodities. So it is pertaining to the farm produce and agri commodities. So this is the keywords which you need to focus, which will be useful for you for UPSC perspective point of view. So the changes would be in pertaining to the marketing and storage of the farm produce and agri commodities. And definitely the bill will also facilitate the contract farming, a new concept which has been brought in, that is in regards to the contract farming, wherein the private entrepreneur will have a deal with the farmer before the crop itself, and then he would be having a deal for some X particular amount, and that amount will be taken into consideration, so that if there is any loss, flood, or in regards to the drought like situation also, there would be the one who has gone ahead with the contract farming, the farmer will not be at loss. So the bills pertaining to food and agricultural reforms were introduced in parliament, and this is the bill which you need to focus. So we will look at the complete bill. The Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce, Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Bill. So it is the Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Promotion and Facilitation Bill. This is the first one, and the second one is in regards to the Farmers Empowerment and Protection Agreement on Price Assurance and Farm Services Bill. And the third one is in regards to the Essential Commodities Act. So these 3 bills were introduced in the House, but you as a civil servant aspirant, you need to focus pertaining to the bill incomplete. The first one is the Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Bill. So that is in regards to the promotion and facilitation of trade and commerce, and the second one is the farmers empowerment and protection agreement, empowerment and protection agreement on price assurance and farm services bill. So it is it is taking into consideration the price assurance, price and farm services, and also empowerment and protection. So all this, if you look into it, this is definitely the government is firm in regards to the doubling of farmers income, by 2022. So these are all the steps which have been taken up by the government to make sure that the produce which have been by the farmers they are produced, they have to be made sure that they would get appropriate price assurance, and then they would be empowered. That is, the farmers would be empowered. So these two bills, the first two bills, were introduced by the agriculture minister, and he has made it very clear that by introducing these two bills, the farmers will be benefited. How? By empowering them. That is what is the keyword: empowerment and protection. So you are empowering the Indian farmers, and this bill will protect the Indian farmers, and they will empower them to decide the price of the produce. So the farmers would be deciding the price of the produce, but earlier the price was decided by the traders. The price of the produce of the farmers were earlier determined by the traders, but now because of these two bills, that is the Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Bill as well as the Farmers Empowerment and Protection Agreement on Price Assurance and Farm Services Bill, will empower the farmers to decide the price of the produce so that they can make profit, or they will get appropriate amount for the amount of efforts they are put in the agriculture. So this will, these two bills will also encourage the private investments, technology. When we are talking about private investments, it is pertaining to the contract farming, and also the technology will also be introduced in the sector. And I said there were three bills which were introduced. Two are by the agriculture minister, and the third one is the Essential Commodities Act, and this bill was introduced by the Minister of Consumer Affairs. Do not get confused. This can be asked in the prelims from UPSC perspective, that the Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Bill and the Farmers Empowerment and Protection Agreement on Farm Assurance and Farm Services Bill along with the Essential Commodities Act was introduced by which among the following ministries or the minister. So definitely the Essential Commodities Amendment to the Essential Commodities Act Bill was introduced in the House by the Minister of State for Consumer Affairs. So definitely this is in regards to the Agriculture Minister, and the Essential Commodities was introduced by the Minister for Consumer Affairs. So this is the segregation what you need to have in mind while you are preparing for the UPSC point of view. And then before I get into the topic, I would say a very good morning to Bhargav, Santoshi, Madhu, D. Suvarna, Journey of Human Life. All of you, a warm welcome to you all to AKS IAS Academy for the daily news analysis. And Journey of Human Life, a warm welcome to you to AKS IAS Academy also. Okay. Journey of Human Life says that, Telugu, for many of them, Telugu analysis is also very important. So is requesting to go ahead with Telugu also, but I would make it very clear that I cannot justify while I am teaching in Telugu. So I will make sure that I will not go fast, and I will use simple English so that you can understand better. Azmat Khan has also joined. Saeed Hanan has also joined. A warm welcome to both of you. And just for the one who have joined, Azmat and Saeed, just for you, 3 agri reforms bills were introduced in the parliament, and these three bills are, earlier there were ordinances, and the three bills are these three. Just for the one, I mean, Azmat Ansai, that is the Farmers Produce Trade and Commerce Promotion Facilitated Bill, and the other one is the Farmers Empowerment and Protection Agreement on Price Assurance and Farm Services Bill, and the third one is Essential Commodities Act. And my humble request is, please make sure that you focus on the farmers, because there would be a probable question in the mains in regards to farmers, or specifically farmers, or in a broader perspective in regards to the agriculture sector. So, taking into consideration of the question for prelims as well as mains examinations pertaining to the doubling of farmers' income by 2022, or the questions being framed on the whole in regards to the agriculture sector, do consider the amendments or the bills which have been passed, or which, I'm extremely sorry, which have been introduced in the house, that is in the parliament, the three bills. These three bills, please keep it in mind for prelims as well as mains examination. Praveen Kumar has also joined. A warm welcome to you, Praveen. And the other news is the centre opposes move to recognize same-sex unions. So the keyword is same-sex unions here. Those the centre, that is the government of India, has opposed the Delhi High Court petition. Before the Delhi High Court petition, so there is a petition which has been filed in the Delhi High Court. There is a petition which has been filed in the Delhi High Court for recognition. So the petitioner is seeking recognition. That means the court or the judiciary has to recognize what? Recognize the same-sex marriages. So the petitioner who has filed in the Delhi High Court seeking the recognition of same-sex marriages is being opposed by the centre. Please do understand, a petitioner has filed in the Delhi High Court recognizing of the same-sex marriages. So this is a keyword, same-sex marriage is the one which the petitioner wants the judiciary for recognizing, but that is being opposed by the centre. And what the centre is saying, I mean, on behalf of the centre, that is the government of India, Solicitor General Tushar Mehta has represented the centre in the Delhi High Court for the petition filed in recognizing the government or the judiciary on behalf of the government has to recognize the same-sex marriage, but the centre has opposed it. That is Solicitor General Tushar Mehta representing the centre has opposed the recognition of the same-sex marriage. On what grounds? Saying that our legal system, our society and values do not consider or do not recognize marriages between same-sex couples. So here the point what the Solicitor General has made it is our legal system, our society, our values. These three are the keywords. Do not recognize marriage between same couples, and that was opposed by the centre. Who has been representing the centre is Solicitor General, and he has also made a statement in regards to a judgment which was being taken up, or a judgment by the Supreme Court, that is the 2018 judgment. So the Supreme Court has come up with a judgment, that is in the year 2018 judgment in regards to decriminalization or decriminalize homosexuality or lesbian. So here Tushar Mehta, Solicitor General, was referring back to the 2008 Supreme Court judgment which was pronounced by the 5-judge Constitution bench on September 6, 2018, and then the 5-judge Constitution bench was led by the Chief Justice then Deepak Mishra, and in that judgment on September 6, 2018, Deepak Mishra has made it very clear that criminalization of private consensual sexual conduct. So whenever there is a consensual sex between the adults of the same sex under section 377 of Indian Penal Code is unconstitutional. So he made it very clear. That means the 5-judge constitutional bench in September 6, 2018 has said that criminalizing or it is not illegal. He says it is making it under section 377 of the Indian Penal Code if it is a consensual accepted between both of them, between the adults of the same sex, is definitely it is not, or it is unconstitutional to make sure that it is a crime. So taking that pronouncement, the Solicitor General has said that he has referred to the 2018 judgment saying that it was merely decriminalizing. That means he was talking about only the consensual sexual conduct. It was only in regards to consensual sexual conduct. But here the petitioner is wanting the recognition of the same-sex marriage. Please do understand the difference. There in 2018, the 5-judge bench led by the Chief Justice Deepak Mishra has said that private consensual sexual conduct between adults of the same sex under 377 is clearly, if you are criminalizing them, it is unconstitutional. But here the petitioner is wanting to Delhi High Court to recognize the same-sex marriage. That is the difference. And the center has opposed it. So definitely the center has opposed on the basis of that we have a legal system, a society and values which do not recognize marriage between same-sex couples. And the petitioner, now we have seen that what the Solicitor General, that is who is representing the center, Tushar Mehta, has made a point. Now we will look at what statements or on what ground the petitioner is actually wanting the recognition of the same-sex marriage. So he wanted the same-sex marriage to be recognized under section 5 of the Hindu Marriage Act. This is important keyword while you are writing the short notes in the mains examination. So under section 5 of the Hindu Marriage Act, the petitioner, that is Abhijit Iyer Mitra, says that you can recognize the same-sex marriage under section 5 of the Hindu Marriage Act. Why? Because he says that the Hindu Marriage Act does not distinguish between the homosexual and heterosexual. That is same and opposite. Homosexual is same and heterosexual is opposite side. So extremely sorry. The petitioner is bringing in the section 5 of the Hindu Marriage Act, and it says Hindu Marriage Act does not distinguish between the homosexual and heterosexual. So on that basis, the petitioner wants the Delhi High Court to recognize the same-sex marriage. And the petitioner is also arguing that there are no statutory bar. That means there is no hurdle or stoppage under the Hindu Marriage Act 1955 and the Special Marriage Act 1956, which says that there should not be any kind of same-sex marriages, and he is wanting that it has to be registered throughout the country and also in the National Capital Territory, that is in Delhi. So here the two keywords, what is that acts we need to focus, I mean you need to focus from a civil services UPSC perspective point is Hindu Marriage Act 1955 and Special Marriage Act of 1956. And the petitioner says that these two acts of 1955 and 1956 do not have any kind of bar in the sense hurdle or stoppage. And the petitioner is also making it that if you are not recognizing the same-sex marriage, then it is violative of right to equality which is granted under the Constitution of India. And the petitioner is citing 27 countries wherein the same-sex marriage is legal. So the point is now that the LGBT, that is lesbian, gay, bisexual and transgenders, lesbian, gay, bisexual and transgenders are definitely wanting the same-sex marriage to be legal in India. But the center is opposing the recognition of same-sex marriage in India. But you need to again focus in regards to the 2018 judgment of the Constitution Bench, that is the 5-judge Constitution Bench led by the Chief Justice then Deepak Mishra, unanimously agreed that criminalization of private. So this is again important. So when you are looking at this case, you have to focus on the September 6, 2018 5-judge Constitutional Bench. So this is very useful for prelims as well as mains examination. And the other news which we would be focusing is Bhushan pays fine. He has been found guilty by the Supreme Court and he has been asked to pay a fine, that is of rupee 1. So he has paid the fine by going ahead with by a draft on September 14, that is yesterday. But the civil rights lawyer Prashant Bhushan has filed a review petition. So this is the keyword here. Keyword for UPSC prelims and mains point of view, review petition. So when you are not happy with the judgment or the pronouncement or the verdict, so you can go ahead with taking an option of review petition in the Supreme Court. So that is what the Prashant Bhushan has now. He has no doubt he has been punished and he has been fined with rupees 1 and he has paid it. But now the point is he has filed a review petition. So UPSC perspective point of view, you need to understand this review petition. So he has filed a review petition in the Supreme Court against, why he has filed? Against the decision finding him guilty of criminal contempt. So he is filing a review petition that the Supreme Court has found guilty, that Prashant Bhushan, he has tweeted, and that is against the judiciary. So for scandalizing the court, he has been found guilty under the criminal contempt or contempt of case or contempt of court particularly. And if you look at the review petition, the review petition is definitely a very limited and a rare remedy against the Supreme Court verdict. That is what I have said. A review petition is a petition filed by the individual who is not happy with the pronouncement or the judgment or the verdict being pronounced by the Supreme Court. So when they are not happy with the verdict of Supreme Court, they go ahead with the review petition. But this is a very limited one and a rare remedy against the Supreme Court verdict. So here the Prashant Bhushan, the civil rights lawyer, has filed a review petition. That is why I said this is the important keyword for UPSC perspective point of view. And the two grounds for review are why, on what grounds? So we are focusing on, or we are looking at depth, why Prashant Bhushan has filed a review petition. First is when you are not happy or you are against the Supreme Court, but no doubt it is a very limited and rare remedy which the individual would be asking from Supreme Court, and he has filed a review petition on two grounds. What are the two grounds? That there are apparent errors. So he is saying that the civil rights lawyer is saying that there are errors in the judgment. Look at it. The civil rights lawyer, the way he has brought up the review petition, and he has made it the reasons on grounds on what he is going at, or he has filed a review petition, that there are errors in the judgment of the Supreme Court, of the three-judge bench, and factual or legal mistakes. So there are errors and there are legal mistakes. These are the two grounds wherein the civil rights lawyer has filed a review petition in the Supreme Court against the verdict of finding Prashant Bhushan as guilty of contempt of court. And this criticism what Prashant Bhushan is making is on the institutional role, that is on the judiciary, that is on the judiciary, that is of the Supreme Court, institutional role of the Supreme Court in regards to the criminal contempt. So why we have to look at is your focus has to be on contempt of court. So based on the contempt of court, you need to keep on focusing on the developments which are happening. So review petition is the one which could be a probable question in the prelims. And the necessity on one grounds, the civil rights lawyer has filed a review petition. We have looked at the two grounds. And then not only that, the petition, that is review petition, is seeking contempt action against him, did not receive prior approval from the Attorney General. Look at it now. A new keyword is Attorney General here. The new keyword here is in our discussion is Attorney General. As we said, he is the first law officer. So as there was no prior approval from the Attorney General, did not receive prior approval from the Attorney General, and the Attorney General was not heard extensively, while the Supreme Court has found guilty that the civil rights lawyer is to be punished under contempt of court. So here the Attorney General is again coming into the picture. So we need to focus this. So the petitioner is saying did not receive prior approval. So there has to be approval by the Attorney General in regards to the contempt action. Not only that, the Attorney General was not heard extensively in the entire case, that is contempt of court case against the civil rights lawyer Prashant Bhushan. That is what the petitioner is seeking from the court through the review petition. And the contempt proceedings conducted were through the video conferencing. This is the main keyword. So the contempt of the court were being done or were being conducted through the video conference, and it failed the fundamental due process requirement. This is very useful, important keyword or the key phrase for the mains in regards to the analysis, because this contempt of court case of Prashant Bhushan will certainly open up a Pandora box in the judiciary, in the judicial system itself. Look at it. Attorney General has come. There was no prior approval, it says. Just a minute. Look at it. Errors, mistakes. So what Prashant Bhushan is saying? So Prashant Bhushan is saying there were errors, there were legal mistakes, and Attorney General prior approval was not there, he is saying, and he was not heard extensively. And now the fourth one is it was a video conferencing, entire proceedings were video conferencing, and it failed the fundamental due process requirement. So look at it, various keywords are now being looked at, and you should also focus these keywords to have more analysis in regards to the contempt of court case. So there could be a possibility that in regards to the errors, legal mistakes, what the petitioner or the Prashant Bhushan is talking about, Attorney General's prior approval wasn't there, and then he was not heard extensively during the proceedings when the case judgment was pronounced, and then it was a video conferencing, that entire procedure, and then in regards to the fundamental due process requirement were failed. And he argued that power of contempt of the Supreme Court under Article 129 was not absolute. So you have the Article 129 which talks about the power of contempt by the Supreme Court. I mean, the Supreme Court has a power, or the Supreme Court is empowered in regards to the contempt of case. But he says that Article 129 is not absolute, is not absolute. Absolute in the sense is not complete or final. Is not final. So he has gone ahead with review petition. So this is one. And the second keyword what you need to focus is, along with the review petition, he has also gone ahead with writ petition. So this is very useful, what we are focusing here extensively. Extensively, I am using the word extensively because you have got two keywords. One is review petition, another is writ petition. Why? Or in the entire contempt of court case against Prashant Bhushan. So writ petition has been filed in the Supreme Court. Why? Challenging the lack of intra-court appeal. So look at this keyword. So there was no proper procedures which were taken in regards to the intra-court appeal mechanism. So writ petition, it was filed because there was lack of intra-court appeal mechanism against a judgment in a suo motu contempt case under Article 129. So the focus is on Article 129. The focus is on review petition and writ petition and due process. And then due process in the sense wherein individuals should be given, or the petitioner should be given all the legal rights, should be provided all the legal rights, should be provided all the legal rights. It could be by the High Court or by the Supreme Court. So due process has to be followed, and he says the due process, fundamental due process requirement were failed, which was the proceedings have been conducted through video conferencing. This is the linking which you need to make it. Probably when you read the newspaper, it looks very simple and you can just glance it and then you can just forget it. But review petition, writ petition, due process, and then Article 129, intra-court appeal. So there are 5 or 6 keywords which will really be useful for you while you are focusing in depth in regards to the polity point of view. Prelims polity polity perspective from UPSC. And the other news is Yoshihide Suga is set to become Japan Prime Minister. So we all know that last week we have discussed about the Prime Minister Shinzo Abe of Japan as is not keeping well, or he has the health issues or health ailments. Before an year itself, Shinzo Abe, that is the Prime Minister of Japan, has made it very clear that he would step down because of the health issues. And now the new Prime Minister is set to become, that is, now he is the Chief Cabinet Secretary. Who is that? Yoshihide Suga is the Chief Cabinet Secretary and is set to become the country's next Prime Minister, that is Japan's Prime Minister. And he has overcome the competition from 2 individuals in Japan, that is the Defense Minister and then LDP Policy Chief. So he has won the vote, that is of 377 out of 534, which were casted by the Liberal Democratic Party. This could be again the keyword in the prelims, that they could be giving entire information about the Yoshihide Suga, who is set to become the next Prime Minister of Shinzo Abe. But there could be a question that he is pertaining, or he is from which political party, which among the political party he belongs in Japan. So he is from Liberal Democratic Party, LDP, Liberal Democratic Party, and he has won 377 votes out of 534, and he has overcome the defense minister and LDP policy chief, and he is a son of a farmer, strawberry farmer in northern Japan, and then he has been as a municipal assembly member in 1987. So slowly from the farmer's family he has come to different levels, and he has done his schooling in Tokyo, and then he has taken up various odd jobs, and then he has studied in the night college before he was elected as into his first office, that is in the year 1987, as a municipal assembly member. So he has joined a first job as a municipal assembly member in Yokohama outside Tokyo. So here the point is, he is from a farmer's family, and he is 71-year-old, and definitely he is wanting to continue, or he has pledged to continue the Shinzo Abe's policies. So definitely there are challenges for the next to be prime minister of Japan, Mr. Suga. That is, in regards to the economy, is not too impressive because of the COVID-19 pandemic situation, the global slowdown, and because of the Abenomics, that is Shinzo Abe Abenomics, which were taken up by Shinzo Abe earlier. So the kick-starting of the economy will be the top priority or the challenge, and the Olympics were postponed from 2020, and it is planned by July 2021. So that will also be a challenge to him, and there would be another diplomatic challenges. So economic challenges and diplomatic challenges are ahead of the would-be or to be Prime Minister of Japan. So he need to make sure that he is protecting the US alliance, and he is also navigating ties with China, because that is very crucial for Suga in regards to the diplomatic challenges. So economic challenges and diplomatic challenges are awaiting for Mr. Sugo. So this is in regards to the international relations. And there is another news which we will look at. The government looks to spend 2.35 lakh crore. So here it is again in regards to the spending of money by the government into the society, so that there would be more of liquidity, and for this the center has sought parliament approval. So now as the parliament session has started, now the government has sought the parliament approval for what? Gross additional expenditure. So it is gross additional expenditure is actually been sought. The center is asking or seeking gross additional expenditure, that is, it is wanting the parliament's approval of what? 2.35 lakh crores, which includes 20,000 crore for recapitalization of public sector banks. So definitely recapitalization of public sector banks, so that there would be liquidity into the market. So to pump money into the public sector banks, and from public sector banks further into micro, small and medium enterprises, and further into NABARD, as we discussed earlier also, into micro financial institutions, fine, and also in regards to the ILFS. So various, or else in regards to again the regional rural banks or cooperative banks. So all this, definitely the public sector, for this the pumping of money into all this will definitely make sure that there has to be recapitalization, and this is the keyword, recapitalization. That means you are pumping money into the public sector bank. So the center wants the gross additional expenditure, so that it pumps money of 20,000 crores into the public sector banks, so that again the public sector banks would pump money into the market through various sectors. And the finance minister has gone ahead, or the finance minister has tabled the supplementary demands for grants, and this is the keyword again in regards to the. So look at here, we are discussing economy, but there is prelims point, prelims point of view, polity we are looking at. So this is what interlinking do happen. So the finance minister has tabled the supplementary demands for grants. Again, polity point of view, there is a question. For what? For the financial year, that is 2021 financial year, the gross additional expenditure has to be had the parliament's approval, and this demand, supplementary demand for grants, why it is required? Because it is needed for government expenditure, because as the government do not have the required money, so it is going ahead with the parliament's approval for the supplementary demands for grants. So this is the keyword, supplementary demands for grants. That is what it is, gross additional expenditure. And for this, the amount which parliament approval was already obtained during the budget session. That is why the finance minister or ministry has tabled the supplementary demands for grants. Supplementary demands. But the parliament approval already has been obtained from the budget session, but the new session has started, so they have to take the parliament approval so that they can pump money into the banks and also into various sectors we will look at. So this money, additional money, is to pay to whom? For the relief measures which the government has announced, part of the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana. So part of the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana, in the month of March, and the Atmanirbhar Bharat stimulus package which was announced in the month of May. For this, the supplementary demands have to be have to get the parliament's approval so that they can pay the relief measures for PMGKY and Atmanirbhar Bharat stimulus package. And the biggest chunk of this entire supplementary demand for grants will go ahead with the state governments and also the revenue deficit grants, which are as a grants in aid for the state disaster response fund. So it will be for the state governments and also for the state disaster response funds. And this is as per the recommendation made by the 15th Finance Commission. So the 15th Finance Commission has made a recommendation that the state governments during the state disaster response fund has to have the amount in regards to the grants in aid so that the relief measures can be taken up. And there are other payments which has to be made, that is additional 40,000 crore funding has been promised by the Manrega scheme, that is Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act scheme. So for this also the supplementary demand for grants have been used or will be used to pay the relief. So the one which is very useful for you for the UPSC perspective point of view is the supplementary demands for grants, is the one which you need to focus along with the economy point of view, that it is spending more money for the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana, Atmanirbhar Bharat stimulus package and Manrega. So these three are important. Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana, which was taken up in the month of March, and then Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan or Atmanirbhar Bharat stimulus package, which was introduced in May, and for the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme, and the other one is recapitalization of public sector banks. So you have four The first one is recapitalization of the public sector banks. The supplementary demands for grants are required. And then for the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana and for the Atmanirbhar Bharat stimulus package. And the fourth one is for the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. So if we have the flow chart, if we can take this flow chart, that is supplementary grants which the government is focusing, that is supplementary demand for grants. So if you look at the flow chart, it is recapitalization of public sector banks, and then in regards to the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana, and the third one is Atmanirbhar Bharat stimulus package, and the fourth one is the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. So if you can have this flow chart, so that's enough. That's enough. You can just refer it later on. So this is how keep on focusing or prepare your flow charts. This will be very, very useful for you. The last moment brush up. And now we will recapitulate the DNA. So we have looked at the agri reform bills. These are very, very useful for you in regards to the agriculture sector. The bills, 3 bills which have been introduced. So two are from Agriculture Ministry and one is from Economic Affairs. Agriculture Ministry or Economic Affairs Ministry. This is what you need to keep on focusing and how it will benefit the farmers. So this is in regards to this same-sex marriage. The center has opposed the same-sex marriage, and here we are focused in regards to the Hindu Marriage Act 1955 and Special Marriage Act 1956 also. Here again focusing on polity point of view, review petition, writ petition. And this is again the international relations, economy point of view, plus we have looked at polity point of view. So economy point of view, we are focused in regards to the 4 areas wherein the supplementary demand for grants have been or will be used. That is in regards to the recapitalization of public sector banks we discussed, and then in regards to the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana, and then Mahatma Gandhi National Guarantee Rural Guarantee Employment Scheme Manrega, and the other one is Atmanirbhar Bharat stimulus package. So this way you need to focus the supplementary demand for grants, polity point of view, and this from economy point of view. That is the various schemes: recapitalization of public sector banks, Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana, Atmanirbhar stimulus package, Mahatma Gandhi Rural Guarantee Employment Scheme. So this way you need to have that analysis. So we have recapitulated how this session would be certainly useful for you from prelims as well as mains perspective. So I hope this was an informative, knowledgeable session for you, both from prelims as well as mains point of view. So I would say a big thank you to you all and a good luck for your preparation. And then before you sign up, do like the video, share the video and subscribe the video. Do visit AKS IAS Academy website and also subscribe the Telegram link of AKS IAS Academy, and we'll see you tomorrow again at 7:30 a.m. in regards to the daily news analysis. And I would say do stick to your consistency of your preparation. Stick to your schedule, and then take care of your physical health and mental health. And I would say a big thank you to all, and all the best to the one who are in the live and also in the live chat. See you tomorrow at 7:30 a.m.